Well, hello, whoever happens to be out there, if anybody. I should turn on a little bit of light, I just realized. Or maybe not, I don't know. Still trying to get this hang of this darn YouTubey stuff. I don't know. Yeah, whatever, good enough. So, like I said in the description, I'm just going to come on and talk a little bit about what has been my habit, and I should probably look at the camera, huh? Hi there, out there. What has been my habit when it comes to films or books or comics that people start yammering about wanting to boycott, or that it's the right thing to boycott because it's offensive and racist, or whatever the reason that they want to boycott something. Um, the latest of such films that I've noticed that people are talking about is the sequel to Avatar, the latest James Cameron, uh, probably $1 billion movie for all I know. I came across a headline that stated, "Wokest old white man in history finally gets his racist card." I would probably describe it more of a as a racist uh, merit badge in this case, but that headline is from the Daily Caller, and they're referring to an article in Newsweek, which has a slightly less jerkish headline. Avatar faces calls for boycott over accusations of racism, and the racism is that just like the first Avatar film, Cameron borrows rather heavily from history in his condemnation of colonialism, which is sort of the main point of the Avatar film, at least the first one, and apparently the second one, that evil colonialists come along and ruin life for a culture that lives closest or closer to their natural environment than the arriving colonists. In this case, it's humans coming to an alien planet where a bunch of blue humanoid aliens with big eyes and tails live in harmony with nature and their environment. And they then, with the help of one of the humans, invading humans, take up arms and drive off the invaders. At least that's my recollection of the film. It's been a very long time since I saw Avatar. And to be quite honest, while I appreciated the message, I thought the film was long. Oh, so long and very boring. So, so now there's a sequel, which, by all accounts, is also very long, probably even longer than the original. And this sequel, according to some commentators, let's see here. Uh, let's see. Where is it? And of course, a lot of this is coming off of Twitter, where everybody is always screaming about wanting to boycott one thing or another. Um, uh, you Big A, I guess is how the name is pronounced. Big A is or Big A, a Native American influencer and co-chair of Indigenous Pride Los Angeles, wrote on Twitter, "Join natives and other indigenous groups around the world in boycotting this horrible and racist film. Our cultures were appropriated in a harmful manner to satisfy some white man savior complex. No more blueface." Yeah, because indigenous peoples and natives are tall, lanky people with tails who are amphibious. and live in trees. Yeah, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. That sure is racist. Those blue people. And there's also a professor that, or a doctor, but also a professor, who actually was a little more productive when she issued her call for a boycott. Which really all she says is, "Why watch a ridiculous movie about blue aliens when you could support actual indigenous people and our struggle for clean water here on Earth? Yes, we do exist." This was a Blackdeer, Dr. Blackdeer on Twitter. Let's see. Her name is Autumn Asher Blackdeer. She's an assistant professor at Graduate School of Social Work in the University of Denver. So I assume she's a doctor in sociology or something like that. I don't know though. Haven't looked her up, to be honest. But yes. So then she, after saying that, don't want to watch the colonial glorifying blue people movie. Check out these sci-fi films by actual indigenous people telling our own stories instead. And then she provides a list, I presume, even though it's not here in the Newsweek article. View the full conversation on Twitter. So I could click through. So my habit generally, when people start going on about how something needs to be boycotted because it's whatever the reason, has generally been to go see it, buy the book, whatever. Basically, you start screaming about boycotts or calling for boycotts or protesting against something when it's a work of art, like a film or a book or a comic book or a painting, even like, well, Piss Christ seemed to me to be a complete waste of space, but the guy has a right to make his art. The film that I remember, at least since I mean, this has been since I've been a kid. I've had that attitude that, oh, you're telling me I can't go see something or I can't go read something because um, you think it's offensive. Well, I'm going to have to go get that and check that out. Satanic Verses did it with Satanic Verses. Regretted it. Again, the book is very long and not all that exciting. The Love Guru also comes to mind. Again, that's not the best of movies. And if people had just kept their yap shut about it, they wouldn't have gotten my money, the company that made it, because it didn't look all that interesting to me, and it was funny, but not all that good. What else comes to mind? Well, those two pop into my head immediately. Mostly because those occurred while I was still writing reviews and feature articles for publication. And I actually got my own a couple of death threats over talking about Satanic Verses in print back in the day. But with The Way of Water, this Avatar film that now, as I was just reading, some people are calling for boycotts of. I can't bring myself to give my money to James Cameron and the producers because I was so bored by the original Avatar film. Oh, and hey, Jesse, welcome from the land down under. Good thing to see you here. And yeah, Lady Chatterley's lover. I probably saw part of that, or perhaps even read it. I don't know, or probably not. I really don't remember anything about that. I know the title, but that's about it. But he said, whatever happened to just plain entertainment? Does everything have to have a message? Oh, stop giving me notifications, computer, so I can see what's on my screen. Yeah, actually, you had the same reaction to Avatar that I did. It was boring, weak story, but a very pretty movie, very beautiful movie. It was, the visuals were absolutely fantastic. Even the fight between, I think that was the film that had the fight between the blue aliens and the mech suit, right? Can't remember whether Sigourney Weaver's in the mech suit or not, but I think that was the one. It's been a long time, and like I said, the film bored me. So, other than feeling that it was pretty, nothing really stuck with me about it. But yes, what happened as plain entertainment? See, to my mind, when people start going on about this offends me, this needs to be boycotted, especially something like Avatar and the sequel, they, I think, are kind of shooting themselves in the foot, because if they really are interested in spreading the message about colonialism and uh, whatever cultural history or myths or whatever that are borrowed by a creator to make their work, if the thing is well enough put together, the audience will go watch it, especially Avatar. They'll go watch it and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, that's really bad. What happened to those aliens on that planet?" And the story might make them think twice about uh, colonizations and colonialism and the uh, oppression of, I don't know, less technologically advanced cultures, however you want to put it. I don't know, different cultures that happen to be there, but by crying in sort of as in yelling, not crying as in boo-hoo, but crying as in yelling about it, you're either going to get people kind of in a mindset that is opposite of what you want to do, of what you want them to think of, if they think favorably of the creator of the work that you are, accusing of being a racist or a cultural appropriator, whatever it is, where possibly they could be, like I said, they could go see the film, they could go read the comic or the book and come away with a changed outlook. Um, because, well, it's kind of like what Jesse said. What happened to just plain entertainment? Well, there's always been entertainment with messages, and there's always been entertainment that borrows from cultures and that is inspired by other people's cultures. And I think that's how you reach people, how you get your message out there. You put it in good stories. Um, Again, Avatar might not be, again, my recollection of the original Avatar story. It's not there, so I think Jesse's right when he says the story is pretty thin. But yes, Jesse, in a lot of cases, it was more subtle, um, or it was better incorporated into the story itself. I'm trying to think of a specific example, but one of my favorite comic book writers is a gentleman named Steve Gerber. Everything that he has written had, oh, hey Cody, welcome. Thank you for dropping by. Uh, Someone that I actually have seen in the flesh. I don't get many of those here on YouTube coming in to say hi. Um, I'm just babbling on a little bit about uh, boycotts, my reaction to calls for boycotts, and just art in general, creative arts in general. So anyhow, about Steve Gerber, He wrote mostly in the 70s and 80s, and everything the guy wrote carried with it a political message. I mean, everything he did, either political or social. Generally, it was a social message that he carried, that was in the stories. Actually, let me back that up. It was pretty much all social commentary. There was not a lot of politics, except when he had Howard the Duck run for president. Um, there's a few issues there that he was poking fun at, um, American political systems, the United States political systems. But generally, a lot of social commentary in Steve Gerber's comics, whether he was writing Daredevil or Submariner or Howard the Duck or Omega the Unknown, which was pretty much social commentary from the second page through the cliffhanger ending of the series. But his messages were incorporated into the story. They grew out of the story. They didn't all, well, sometimes it felt like, okay, Mr. Gerber, well, reading it as an adult now, it felt, okay, Mr. Gerber, you're kind of cramming this down my throat. I get the message. Don't beat me over the head. But more often than not, it came out of the story. It grew out of the story. Things didn't grind to a halt while the characters gave a soliloquy about whatever the message you're supposed to take away from the story. And I think that is, to answer the question, what happened to just plain entertainment? People got bad at making plain entertainment. Um, it's like everything these days is an episode of Quincy, Quincy ME. It's a show from the 70s. I don't know why I keep reaching all that, or maybe it was the 80s. But I should look at the chat. So Jesse says in South Africa there was a book, The Nomadic Years of the Papal. Yeah, I'm butchering this. Papal Nangena, that truly opened people's eyes to the life of Black people in South Africa. Was that then I'm gonna assume it was a work of fiction. Well, it sounds like it was. It sounds like it was actually what I'm looking for. Okay, all right. So a little both. The title actually makes it sound like it's. Yes, I'm talking at a camera and words are failing me. Englishing is hard. Wording is hard. Howard the Duck cameo. Yeah, Quincy. Written as fiction but based on true life. Yeah, yeah, and I'm completely at a loss for the word I'm looking for. The title makes it sound like it's an academic work or a factual book, whatever the heck those are called. Um, but since you said open the eyes to a lot of people, it makes it sound like it would have to have some sort of fictionalized part to it, or at least be very entertaining in the way it was written. Um, and yeah, uh, you you can take your message, you can weave fiction through it, and that is really how you'll get to people more than just delivering them screeds about whatever your whatever position is that you're taking. But Quincy, at least in my recollection, it's been many years. And actually, I recently tried to get my hands on an episode of Quincy, since everything seems to be on DVD, but not Quincy. They've been looking in the wrong places, but I just could not find that show. But my recollection of Quincy is that it was preachy as all hell. It came to a screeching halt, and Quincy delivered his soliloquy about whatever the message of this week's episode was. The story revolved around whatever the controversy was that they were addressing or dealing with, but the show always came to a screeching halt. Quincy or some other character would preach, and then things would keep going. Even as a kid, when I was watching that show, it just bugged me. I mean, I liked Jack Klugman and the Quincy character. I liked his pals and the bartender and all the characters. I liked the show. I liked the mysteries. But I just probably literally rolled my eyes sometimes when they would go off on their lectures. I rarely got that same sense out of the Steve Gerber stuff. Even though, again, even as a kid, I could pick up on the messaging that was going on, but the messaging was interwoven with jokes and with characters. And even when he came back to do comics in the 80s for a brief period, um, he worked some of the messaging in there. He did a couple issues of She-Hulk, as I recall. He now back on the Steve Gerber topic, because, like Cody says, Steve Gerber was amazing. And Howard the Duck, yep, he had a cameo in the Guardians movie. He was, I believe, in the Collector's Collection and escaped. Uh, but yes, it does seem to me that to a large extent people have lost the ability to deliver messages while telling a good story. One notable exception, and I really should have grabbed that book, but it just came to mind right now. I talked about this in previously on the channel, um, and that is there's a series called oh my gosh, something New York. I've had a very long day. I was this close to just saying, let's kill the live stream because I am so darn tired. It was just crazy day at work. Made the joke to a couple of my colleagues since it was the first time I had actually been in the building on a Wednesday since July. I apologize to a couple of coworkers because it's clearly my fault that the day just completely went to hell because I was in the building and hadn't been there since the end of July on Wednesdays. So it must have been my fault. Um, well, yeah, Gerber used satire. Yeah, that is true. I don't know that he necessarily hit you over the head when he was doing it well, but there were a few times when he didn't pull it quite off. There's an issue of Man Thing. Well, actually, no. The Man Thing story I'm thinking about is um, there's like a prison transport bus that has an accident, and there's a black guy and this racist sheriff's deputy that are lost in the swamp with the black guy on the run, the sheriff's deputy chasing him, and oh, Quincy. Yes, Quincy does hit you over the head. But this Gerber story, it's one of the early Man Thing tales that he did. These guys are in the swamp. Man Thing, by the way, is this big, hideous monster uh, that's brainless in the comics, at least. In the Werewolf by Night Christmas special, they gave him a mind. But in the comics, he's just this brainless thing that reacts to strong emotions. And if the emotion is fear he's reacting to, it causes him pain. He then grabs whatever it is that's afraid of him. That then the more frightened it gets, the more his touch burns, and then it spontaneously combusts, and thus releasing Man Thing's fear and the pain. Anyhow, these guys are lost in the swamp. The racist sheriff chasing down the escaped black convict. Man Thing gets in the middle of it. In fact, he's kind of the black guy's friend for a while. Friend, since he has no real mind, just following him around. And they run into the racist sheriff. And at this point, then the story then turns out that the black guy is just as racist as the sheriff. I mean, as far as he just hates people just to hate them because of their skin color. Up to that point, the story seemed very heavy-handed and one-sided, and then you get that little twist at the end. And that's something else that doesn't happen in a lot of things today. There's never that, not never, but it's rare you get that kind of reversal where, yeah, this is bad, this is disgusting. But this person over here that has been the sort of righteous victim of it all, well, you know what? They have their flaws too. We don't really see much of that, it seems to me, in a lot of pop culture. And oh, Cody has. Do you have the entire Man Thing series, both Journey into Fear and the actual original the series that came out? Yeah, I've got actually. This is how big a Steve Gerber fan I am, and just also a little bit of Man Thing. I not only do I have every single of the issues from way back in the day, um, acquired them over the years, but I also have the uh, the essential Marvel phone books that were put out of those things. Um, and that's kind of when I got those phone books and I reread them, I went, yeah, okay. Gerber did lean on the purple prose a bit. He didn't quite hit the mark always, but he did deliver messages with more grace than most creators today. But as always, yes. You mean Savage She-Hulk, the original series, or the handful of was that Savage She-Hulk, or just Sensational She-Hulk, the one that Byrne rebooted, and then um, I think it was then Gerber came in and wrote it with art by um, Brian Hitch. I think Brian Hitch did the art on the Gerber issues. Okay, yep. So the Gerber one is from the 80s, 80s or 90s, whenever it was, right around the time when I dropped out of Marvel. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of way off the topic when talking about movies that we're going to boycott. But hey, I love talking about comics too, especially when it comes to Steve Gerber, because I think he's over the years he's gotten way too little attention and credit. Um, people love talking about Alan Moore in the 80s, and I was reading that and going, well, there was this guy named Gerber doing this exact sort of thing 10 years earlier. Um, but yeah, Sensational She-Hulk, those were actually also some pretty good issues that he did. He brought back some of the characters that he created in the 70s as She-Hulk villains. Some of the How the Duck shows up, some of the Man Thing supporting cast shows up. Richard Rory didn't, which was kind of as I recall, which was kind of disappointing. But while his some of his villains showed up, uh, he had a rather hilarious set of characters that were spoofs on Marvel villains, or some heroes even. One of them, what that sticks in my mind, was the Paddler, a joke on the Punisher, except he, well, like the name implies, he put you over his knee and he spanked you with a paddle. Uh, um, So yeah, his comics also made just poked fun at the uh, universe within which he was working. And I keep saying in past tense because I think it's at this point it's probably about 10 years since he passed away. Maybe not quite that long, but it's a number of years. But yeah, generally, again, I don't know if other people have this reaction, but when some person or group of people starts crying for boycotts against somebody's creative work, I basically, do this in their general direction and go seek it out and try to promote it. When it comes to the Way of Water, I will not be seeking it out because, again, I was so bored by the first one that I'm just not going to spend my precious time and money on it. But if someone has seen it and they want to, let us know, and let us know whether it's worth seeing. Well, that's what the side chat is for, and it'll be there to be replayed if anyone decides to watch this later. Or you can leave comments when this video is up. Oh yeah, and what is it I'm supposed to say as a YouTuber? It's supposed to say, "Hey, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the channel." Uh, Did Steve Gerber create Madcap? You know, Cody, I I actually don't know. Um, he created Fool Killer, which again is Fool Killer was a more straight laced commentary on the Punisher. Uh, as the name implies, he killed people he considered to be fools, which could be anyone from the guy who cuts you off in traffic while you're on the freeway to the priest stealing from the collection bowl. But yeah, Fool Killer was Gerber's commentary on the Punisher and characters like the Punisher. He well, hell, even the guy that created the Punisher didn't create him some didn't create him with the sort of straight up hero in mind. The Punisher was always supposed to be sort of a villain, and that kind of got lost a little bit. You know, as much as I like Mike Barron and find him to be a very funny guy, um, and Chuck Dixon like him too. Maybe I'm confusing the guys, but I think they're the ones that were writing Punisher when he became um, more of a straight up hero instead of the more anti-hero that he started out as in the black and white magazines where he first appeared. Even to the point where there were the characters that were supposed to be hunting him that were sort of secondary figures in that first story, at least as I recall them. It's been a long time since I've read any Punisher, to be honest. I should go back and take another look at that. But all right, you know what? Now I've been babbling while I've been trying to remember who created Madcap, and it's just not coming to mind. So let's see if it was Steve Gerber. The Google machine might actually tell me who created Madcap. Ah, okay. It actually was Mark Gruenwald. Well, there's another guy that another comics writer that hasn't didn't never. Yes, my English is just perfect tonight. Another Mark Gruenwald, another guy that never really has gotten enough credit. Um, Certainly, he wasn't as he wasn't the iconoclast that Gerber was, but he cranked out some good stories. Again, he did create Madcap. Uh, Hello, Austin Murphy. Welcome. And I, I'm not sure what to say about the hands, but hopefully you're applauding and you're applauding me, or maybe Cody for remembering these things about comics that I did not recall. And I'm trying actually now to remember one of the Gruenwald things. Oh, there are. It's a waving hand. Okay. All right, I get it now. Um, yeah, clearly I am not up on my emojis. Like I've mentioned, finally, due to my primary partner at work, joined the 21st century, got a smartphone. But that's only within the last 6 months that has happened. I was the last guy on the planet, aside from drug dealers and certain homicide detectives, who was carrying around a flip phone. Yeah, and it's no longer even sitting here anymore. I've since disposed of it. But okay, yeah, I now see that those are motion lines around the hands. When I first saw it, it looked like when I just glanced over, I thought it was two hands. But yeah, okay. Well, hello, Austin. Welcome. Thank you for dropping by. Appreciate it. Uh, if you've seen Avatar: The Way of Water, or if you have an opinion on it, or on film boycotts or art boycotts in general, and whether you think they're good or bad, um, you know, put a comment in the chat. Oh, wow, Cody, I thought I was a hoarder. And yeah, sorry guys, it keep sticking my fat face right up to the camera as I'm adjusting in the chair. I'll try to get better about that. Like I've said in a couple other of these, everything I do on these live streams seem to be exactly opposite of um, this sort of camera decorum that I remember from my college days. But Cody still has the Xenon comics I gave him in the 80s. Yeah. Um, there's another series. I remember the title, but I don't remember much about it. Um, I think I liked them sort of the first time I read through them, and then afterwards was kind of eh. But yeah. Um, Nothing there to boycott, though. uh, so I had the Howard the Duck movie. You know, I probably will have my geek card taken away, and I will be no longer able to post film reviews anywhere, and nor will they invite me to any more gatherings of my former colleagues. But I actually seem to remember liking the Howard the Duck movie. I didn't hate it the way some people seem to do, and I thought it was very silly, and I thought they could have done a better job on the costume, but I didn't hate it. So yeah, if I owned it, I probably still would have it on the shelf somewhere. And the Night Force. The Night Force is those were some good comics. Um, Very interesting the way they rotated the characters. It's too bad that the '90s revival didn't do any better than the original '80s series did, because I liked those characters. Uh, Marv Wolfman did a very good job with that series. Yeah, it wasn't great, Howard the Duck, but like I said, it does. I don't know that it deserves the hate that it seems to get. I can, but then there are films that a lot of people praise to the heavens that I feel are horribly overrated. So I am not. I I can't be claimed to have good taste, and I never have claimed to have good taste. Um, love bad movies. Oh, you're not talking about the comic series Night Force. You're talking about a film? Okay, I guess I haven't heard that. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but let me look up the on the Google machine. Oh, okay, 1987 film. Let's see if I have just forgotten this, or I. Oh, Linda Blair was in it. Let's look at the poster. Maybe that'll jog my memory. Night Force. Some people give a damn is the catchphrase for the film. I do not remember this at all. And you know what I'm going to do, because I'm being an idiot? I am covering up the video feed every time I pull something up on Google, even though I have two monitors, so I could actually be uh, doing the Google thing over here on this other monitor while still seeing what is going on. Oh, direct from theatrical release. I, whatever that means. I'm looking at a poster that, yeah, I have no recollection of this film, but it seems to be some sort of monster hunting film. The poster has a bunch of people with guns and Linda Blair standing on top of a Jeep in camo gear, and there's an explosion behind them. It's very 80s. Uh, Wait, does that say vow marriage? No, no, it does not. All right. No, Howard the Duck movie, Night Force comic series. Yeah, and then I just found that there is a Night Force movie. Have no idea what's it about. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So it's not a Monster Hunter thing. I just found what it's about. Night Force. Oh, it's a straight to video. I don't know why they said it was straight from film, but okay. Carla is devastated when her friend is kidnapped by Mexican cartel. After going to her father, a U.S. senator, she gets friends and arms and crosses the border to, well, shoot people and blow things up. Uh, so yeah, that does sound very 80s. And it has a 4 of 10 rating on IMDb. Oh, it's got Richard Lynch in it too. Always a sign of quality film when you have Richard Lynch in it. Uh, all this stuff never made it to South Africa. Oh, you're in South. I thought you were in Why did I think you were in Australia, Jesse? But still, South Africa is. Ah, you grew up in South Africa. Okay. Uh, South Africa is also very very far away. We'll probably not make it. We'll most likely not make it down there. Um, okay. All right. Yeah, Quincy seems to have made it around the world. Uh, I actually saw Quincy on Danish television when I was living in Denmark, and then I saw it a little bit uh, back here in the States when we were traveling around during the summers. But I saw it on, like I said, Danish television. Oh, Demons, actually, that's another film I don't own. But I watched it again recently as maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and it actually has grown on me. Um, it was better than I remembered it. Uh, I still don't get the helicopter thing at the that seems to fall from the ceiling, but generally, either my tastes have deteriorated over the years or um, they've become more refined. I can't really say which. But then that makes me wonder: should I pay money to see The Way of Water? Maybe my tastes have changed to the point where I won't be bored by uh, lots of pretty scenery with blue people and not much of a story for hours and hours and hours. Because yeah, I'm prejudging the way of water. I will grant that hands down. Just because 9 times out of 10, well, first of all, 9 times out of 10, all statistics are made up on the spot. But also 9 times out, assuming that what I didn't like about the first Avatar is going to be present in the sequel and amplified and much greater. So, as much as I want to counteract any kind of boycotts, I would. I it's. I'm just afraid it's not worth my time and money. Okay, so you've seen the bit in Demons where the cobweb covered helicopter falls through the ceiling, and it makes absolutely no sense. Um, Although, nah, I better not. I might be confusing films here. I was that, but yeah. Um, Let's see if there's anything else in this Newsweek article. Actually, one thing I did find interesting in the way they were talking about Avatar, or the sequel in the Newsweek article, was it's like they're trying to amplify the notion that having a film full of blue people is somehow racist. Blue people with tails is somehow racist. They also because it has a mostly white cast, that's also racist. Um, where is that paragraph? Well, at least one of the stars of the original Avatar that provided a voice to one of the blue people was not a white person. And I cannot. Her last name is Saldana, but I cannot remember her first name at this point. And I can't find the paragraph in which they talk about how, the film was full of white people. Oh, well, yeah, except Saldana. My gosh, something with a Z, Saldana. Well, she's also in the first Guardians film. Actually, the second one too, I think. Under heavy makeup, and she's been in some nice action films. She's actually a pretty good actress, but I'm blanking on her name right now. Zoe Zeldana. Zoe Zeldana. She's in the film. She was a major character in the first Avatar film. So I'm assuming she's in the second one, but they kind of make it sound like, oh yeah, she's in it too. So again, underscoring the notion that it's racist. Again, I haven't seen it. Personally, I have a very hard time seeing blue people with tails as a racist analogy for people actually walking around and that I work with. Can't see films in theaters, hard of hearing these days. Do you have hearing aids? I only ask because, again, this is many, many years ago, but back when I was writing reviews and going to see films and previews, I remember them doing a big push in the theaters that they were kind of simulcasting or doing something that would work with hearing aids. Or they would give you something to use that would let you hear the film. I don't know if they still do that or not because I've never availed myself of the services, and I actually, until this very moment, even forgot that they existed. But way back then, they used to put little placards on the theaters that were equipped with this particular feature. They made a marketing point out of it, at least in the chains that were in the Salt Lake City area, where I was initially starting out to write reviews and such. So, but yeah, I don't know if that's even a thing anymore. Gosh, you guys are making me sort of think about all kinds of things and sort of going down all kinds of memory lanes here. I don't know how exciting it is for you guys, but it certainly is entertaining for me. But yeah, Zoe Saldana was a major character in the first Avatar. And I don't know how big a part she is in the second one. I'm assuming she's got an equally important role, at least as the voice of one of the blue people. Yeah, this blue people are racist thing. I will admit I feel the same way about when people in my tiny little corner of the pop culture world were going on about how orcs are racist. orcs in D&D are racist. Um, Again, I'm going. They're they're savage, evil people. Okay, you're wanting to interpret them as some sort of analogy of Africans, but they're just as easily interpreted as an analogy of Mongols or Vikings, any kind of barbaric culture that is all about attacking things and burning things and conquering and just being, savage stereotypically. Those are orcs. They're pig-faced imaginary creatures. I think any kind of real world parallels, you know, you're imposing them upon this pig-faced creature, regardless what story they're put in. Orcs are not racist conceptually. The blue people with tails in Avatar are not racist conceptually. Um, Yep. Okay. So she was. Yeah, I forget the name of the character she was playing in Guardians, but yeah, Zeldana was made up in makeup in Guardians, as opposed to being an animated character in uh, Avatar. Yeah. Oh, have a directional one. Okay. Oh, head-mounted speakers. Okay, maybe that's what they were. The Ring of Power series. There's something that I haven't watched. Yeah, confession time here. I used to work at a company called TSR. They're most famous for having published Dungeons and Dragons originally back in the day. They also had the Dragonlance series, novels and games, which I spent some time working on. The property Ravenloft, which I spent some time working on. But when I came to TSR, I was the only person in the building who had not read Lord of the Rings. I mean, any of the three Lord of the Rings books, because many years prior, one of the times you were in England, I had some change left, and the banks in Denmark would not exchange coins. You would only bring them bills to get Danish currency for. So I had to spend these coins. Oh, I hear Tolkien is good. And oh, they had this omnibus with the three famous books, and oh, they have this Silmarillion prequel thing. Oh, and they have the Hobbit. All of these kind of gets rid of my change, and then I have the books on my shelf, and I can read them. Yay! So I read the Silmarillion, and I loved it. I believe I was probably 13, maybe 14 at the time. But Silmarillion, thought it was the coolest darn thing. And that's the one that I hear a lot of people hate, but I enjoyed the heck out of it. Okay, next book in the series here. All right, The Hobbit is next. So I start reading The Hobbit. I get 5 pages in, give or take a few, and I was just bored. I did not enjoy The Hobbit at all. So that's as far as I got in Lord of the Rings. And those books, in fact, they're actually out in the living room on the shelf out there, with the Lovecraft and the Plato and all the kind of fancy schmancy books. But I was at TSR, and I had not read Lord of the Rings, and that's how they introduced me. Whenever there were tours, or they were, people that wanted to meet the creators of this or that product line, or even just they were just showing you employees around. Oh, yep, and here's Steve Miller. He's the one guy that has never read Lord of the Rings. Which, and again, people found it hilarious because while I was working on premier fantasy properties, and I had not read the this kind of founding documents of the whole genre. Um, the true punchline to the story is that several years later, or makes it even more goofy and funny, fast forward till probably 2000, whenever it was that the movies were out. Oh yes, and I finally did see the movies. I saw the first two Lord of the Rings movies, and I think the first two Hobbit films. Maybe I saw all the Hobbit films, but or I saw the last Hobbit film. Whichever. I haven't completed any of the series, but I got hired to work on the Lord of the Rings role playing game from Decipher, which then made me feel obligated to read the books. Even though the game was a movie license, I still felt that I should know the books. And so I tried again to read the books. And I could not get through these. I don't know what it is about Lord of the Rings that just puts me to sleep, but I just cannot read those books. I've even read, I think it was Tolkien, maybe I'm wrong here, but I think it's Tolkien that did a translation of Gawain and the Green Knight, which I read and enjoyed the heck out of in college. And I have that on the shelf out in the living room as well. Oh, and Cody loved the Silmarillion as well. Yes, he's a man of clearly of refined taste, or he's crazy like me. I don't know. But so I still can't get through these damn books. All right. I'm going to have to cheat this because I at least had to know the sections I'm supposed to write about in this game book. I was writing a chunk of sort of a creature resource book, if memory serves, and I was writing about all the various undeads. So I at least had to identify them in the books and in the movies and know what the heck I'm talking about. All right, so barrow wights. I have to write about barrow wights. Where are the barrow wights in the Tolkien books? I can't find these damn things. I mean, you would think they would be in this section that takes place in this cemetery thing with the Hobbit strolling around. You know, then Tom Bombadil singing and just generally being a pain in my ass when I'm trying to find this, but I can't find it. So okay, I'll buy this book. You can buy these books. They give you, it's like reference books to Tolkien. So, Barrow Wights, they're on page 159, whatever it was. Unfortunately, as I said at the beginning of this story, I bought British editions of these books many years ago, and this thing I picked up was not keyed to those editions. So the page numbers were off. But, you know, I could get in the ballpark, and all right, I was right in my assumption that the Barrow Wights were in this part with Tom Bombadil and his stupid songs, but I could not find the damn Barrow Wights. They were nowhere to be seen. God, I've got to read this book. Oh no. So I start reading Lord of the Rings, and I'm reading, and I'm reading, and I'm reading. Oh, here's the goddamn songs. I skip them, and I'm reading, and there's still no Barrow Wights. So I go back and I read again. This time I don't skip the verse. I read the verse, and then I realize Barrow Wights are like in a single paragraph in between these stupid songs. So if I hadn't been lazy in the first place and just read the books, done my research like an adult and the professional that I was supposed to be, I would have saved myself a lot of time and anguish. So yeah, don't be like me, children. Uh, do your homework. Don't try to cheat. Google is and indexes are not your friend. Yeah. So now I am no longer the one guy that has not read Lord of the Rings. I have read it. I got through it. Sorry, still not a fan. Um, uh, Still haven't seen the third movie. We'll get around to it at some point. I have a friend who has the extended version. I'll borrow it from her and watch it. But yeah, there's just too many stuff out there to. Well, that's another problem I have. There's just too much stuff. I am way behind on all the stuff. I finally am starting to watch Doctor Strange. Now, yeah, now I'm getting way off topic here. But hey, uh, I'm on a roll and I'm just kind of babbling. I finally got around to watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Uh, Started it at least. I got about half an hour in last night and then had to go to bed. So far, it's not bad. I still think I like the original Doctor Strange film better, and I still think Iron Man is the best of the Marvel movies that I've seen. But it's not terrible. And I watched the Marvel Christmas special, which I absolutely adored. Yes, Doctor Strange, both in the first film and in this one, he is a very good character. Actually, heck, in the comics, he's actually a pretty good character. Um, that's another thing that I have. I have all the big fat phone books of the. I think it's 3 volumes, maybe it's 2, but I got them all on the shelf. If I could be anyone, says Jesse, it would be Doctor Strange. Yeah, yeah, having magic powers and a house in Greenwich Village, um, and a girlfriend who is the queen of a demonic dimension. Yeah, there's that would be the life. But yeah, there's another comics that I actually enjoyed quite a bit with the Doctor Strange comic books, and I think they did a pretty good job in the movie as well. Yeah, Cody said he's about 7 films behind in the MCU. Yeah, I've got holes. I have yet to see. I know especially since they're making references to him now. I probably should have seen the Spider-Man movies before I started watching Multiverse of Madness, since they make references to those Spider-Man films in that. But it's kind of sometimes I read comics out of sequence. So, uh, Destiny, New York. Okay, this is kind of a toss back to way early in the stream. I was trying to remember the name of a comic that I thought was good at messaging and still delivering a decent story. There's a series of graphic novels called Destiny, New York. I'm going to be reviewing the first one over on the Shades of Grey blog. Probably in a couple of weeks, I'll have the review done and up. But I recommend looking them up. They're probably available on Amazon. I got them as part of a Kickstarter reward package, so I caught up on the whole series. And there's actually a Destiny New York unboxing video that I did. You can go back and look if you want to find it. And if you want to watch me talk about something that I have not read at all and trying to guess what character is who and what's going on the covers and the random pages of the books, that would be a video to go watch. And yes, Cody, Clea was the character I was trying to remember. Um, Dormammu's niece or daughter or something like that, uh, and ended up taking over his dimension and at some point in one of the Doctor Strange series, the comics. I don't know about whether she's in any of the movies or not. They have his. They had the character that from when he was a doctor, the nurse, I believe, is what she is, and she is in Multiverse of Madness and getting married. Um, but yeah, Doctor Strange. I don't really know what. If I had to think of what Marvel character I'd want to be, Doctor Strange is definitely high up there. Tony Stark might be another just because of all the money. But then there's the shrapnel in the chest, and I don't know if that would be so cool. Oh, Cody says, "Wow, I missed you, Steve." Well, that's nice. Not many people say that, I don't think, but I appreciate it. Oh, and I just noticed one of my cats is sitting there in the background. That's Zoe right there, and she sees something. Yeah, she's a plump little creature. Yep, Tony Stark, Iron Man. Oh, you should see her brother. He's long. He's got long hair, same kind of coloration, but he when he's sitting, he looks like sort of the cartoon version of a ghost. And it's I got these guys just last year, and they're 8 years old, so turning 9 actually. Um, so they're kind of old. You can always change a cat's name, I guess, but if I'd had them from kittenhood, he would definitely be named Casper instead of his name is Simba, which I'm always a little embarrassed to take him to the vet and tell him that, oh yeah, my cat is named Simba. um, but I can see that name too because he's a fluffy male cat, so I guess Simba. Uh, it was the one eating things earlier. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Don't know what she would have been eating. Oh well, okay. All right. Like I said, it's kind of been a long day for me, and tomorrow might come early if I don't start wrapping this up. So I really do appreciate you guys stopping by and actually sticking around and hanging out while I just went spinning wildly off into random stories and superficial commentary. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys. Thank you again for stopping by. Um, and actually, I always have fun doing these. And if I wasn't worried about tomorrow being as Kimba the White Lion, yeah, actually that would have been a better name given his coloration, kind of white like she is with yellow ears and kind of a dirty face, yellow face. Um, but yeah, thanks again. These are always fun for me, and I will definitely be doing another one shortly. And so, yeah, probably have a topic to start out with, and then just go rambling off into a corner. And I will try to be better about keeping an eye on the side chat, so I can respond to what you guys are saying. And someday I'll get around to learning how to use the software so I can actually just put things up on the screen like a real YouTuber. But for now, I really appreciate you guys, and you have a good night, and hopefully we'll talk again. And yeah, Cody, have a good one. Jesse, whoever else might be out there, thanks again. I am going to push the button. There's 2 buttons as always. Push button number 1, push button number 2, and we are clear.